Get the Angel Reese special at McDonald's now. Let's break it down. My favorite barbecue sauce, American cheese, crispy bacon, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun, of course. And don't forget the fries and a drink. Sound good? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating restaurants for a limited time.
This is a mini meditation guided by Bombas. Repeat after me. I'm comfy. I'm cozy. I have 0 blisters on my toes. And that's because I wear Bombas, the softest socks, underwear, and t-shirts that give back. One purchased equals one donated. Now go to bombas.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY at checkout.
Better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romancing the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, ah, I'll have what she's having.
Paige, I do not know if we're about to record an episode of Romancing the Pod or Horror Virgin, and I love it. I guess we're just going to find out when you start the intro.
Look, all I have to say is, ring the alarm. I've been through this too long, but I'll be damned if I see another chick on your arm. I'm Paige Wesley.
And I don't know how to do what Paige just did, and that means my name is Todd. And this week, Paige made us watch Obsessed. Paige, I realized because you changed the intro, I still don't know if this is an episode of Romancing the Pod or Horror Virgin. I guess Natalie will fix it. She'll figure it out.
Technically, it's Romancing the Pod.
Paige, was this the first time? Wait, is it Romancing the Pod?
Yeah, it's Romancing the Pod.
Fuck, man. You can check my story. I did a story that was like, I'm about to record Obsessed for Horror Virgin. I literally thought it was Horror Virgin. I'm not joking.
No, we just did Horror Virgin because
what movie
we
did
just
we do?
God,
Cut this,
we've
babe.
done
I can't.
or leave it in.
Whatever.
We've done like 6 movies in 5 days. We did pitch the Don't Blink Twice.
Blink Twice. It's called Blink Twice. It's not Don't Blink
Twice. Yeah,
and I thought that was a rom-com. Channing Tatum falls in love with that lady.
Oh, no.
Anyway, Paige, so was this your first time with the movie Obsessed?
This was my first time. I remember when it came out.
I do not.
And I remember the reviews at the time being like, the fuck is this? And I had completely forgotten it existed until somebody recommended it for Horror Virgin. I do think it fits better on Romancing the Pod. We just haven't done as many dramas on Romancing the Pod. And honestly, we could change that because sometimes they're real fun.
I don't know that this is at all romance or like rom-comedy or anything like that. Like, this is just straight up, like, this is a thriller. Like, this technically could be on Horror Virgin too.
It's considered a romantic thriller. I think you could take it either way.
How dare you?
But
romantic thriller? Oh.
Yeah, that's what online, that's what it says.
Didn't know that was a thing. Now I want to maybe start a whole new podcast dedicated to just romantic thrillers.
Nah, we'll just do them on this one.
That is the better option, yeah. Natalie was shaking her fist in the air at me when she heard that.
No!
Exactly. So, Paige, what did you think about Obsessed? Oh, I should warn you, I just got to my hotel. I've been checked in at the Cosmopolitan in downtown Vegas for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And the first thing I did was order room service. So at some point, room service will be here to deliver my dinner. And I have been working since 8 a.m. Central Time, and it's now 10:41 Central Time. And I'm in a very goofy mood.
I love it.
And I want you to know, on the plane, I wrote some terrible, terrible jokes that I will inflict you with over the course of this recording. But tell me, please, what did you think about Obsessed the first time you watched it? This was my first time too, Paige.
This is my first time. Before I get into it, might I make a recommendation to you?
Paige, I just ordered. I can't order again.
I know, but you're there for more than a day.
I am here until Saturday morning. It's too long, guys.
That's what's up. You got to go to Guy Fieri's sports bar and get his birria pizza quesadilla thing, where it's basically just a giant birria quesadilla, and it's the most delicious thing I've had in a long time. And it made my dad and I fart for like 3 days straight. And we still were like, should we go back and get another one? Like, it's incredible. You're welcome.
What you just said was, I want you to go eat this thing that will make you crop dust to this conference you're attending.
That's what's up.
And you don't want me to hang up on you right now to go get it? That's insane.
Right? That's what I'm saying, right?
And also the way you said Berea made me know it was good.
Birria.
Yeah, whatever. I can't say it.
Quesabirria.
Yeah, it's a birria. I can't. It's a miria, Mario. I can't do it. But I know it's good because you said it like that.
Indeed it was. Okay, so yes, this is the first time I saw this movie. I have a few thoughts. First and foremost, Idris Elba should always have facial hair. It accentuates the actual, like, structure of his face. And whoever was doing makeup and costumes on this movie, y'all, come on. I know it was 2009, but y'all, no.
Paige, when you see Idris Elba the first time, you're like, oh, it's Idris Elba that she's going to like
Right?
lust after? Oh, and he's a homeowner? Oh, and he's married with a kid?
Yep, that's what's
How
up.
could she not be obsessed with this dude? It's Idris Elba.
I get it, man. I'm obsessed with Idris Elba at all times, but I am even more obsessed with him with facial hair. He's one of the hall passes my husband has granted me unilaterally. It's just like, if Idris Elba is ever like, hey girl, what's up? I have carte blanche. I don't think that will ever happen to me.
Paige.
But the offer's on the table.
It's not a 0% chance, right? It's on the spectrum. It's on the board.
Yeah.
Listen, we're reaching out to Idris's people.
We'll see what's
He
up.
doesn't really like to respond to my DMs offering my host as a sexual service to him. I have been blocked.
Sure.
Sorry, Idris.
Conveniently, I also have given my husband a pass for Beyoncé because it's Beyoncé.
I get it.
So here's the thing. I am a card-carrying Beyoncé fangirl. Love Beyoncé. Obsessed with her tour documentaries. Love it.
The lady's a talent.
Yo, oh my God. To celebrate her Grammy win, thrilled.
Yeah, she's an insane talent.
Yes.
The fact that she is who she is and can act, and she's not the best actor in this movie. You just heard Idris Elba's in it.
Right.
But she's probably a strong number 2. Like, for the second best, she does great.
Here's what I'll say. The script does not give her much to do until she's like, oh, this bitch is nuts and she tried to take my kid. Then Beyoncé is awesome. Then it's the best she's ever been. And I was like, oh, that's right. This is only a couple years before Lemonade came out. And first of all, if you have not watched the visual album that goes along with Lemonade, Fix Your Life. Secondly, for the amount, I mean, you heard me scream it at the beginning of this episode. The amount of intensely angry breakup songs Beyoncé has made lets us know that she is not to be trifled with at all. And she will cut a bitch if she fucking needs to. And that's why we love her. Thank you for coming to my Beyoncé TED Talk. Mostly Natalie listening to this because Todd went to go get room service. And when he comes back, he'll have no idea what I said. So this was a fun time for just us. Shh. While I have you, remember, March 14th at Flutter in Austin at 2 p.m. Come buy Dirty Books with me, or just talk about Dirty Books with me, or just come see me and say hi. Okay, he's back. Shh.
So sorry. You were trailing. I lost you there, and I had to go get the room service. I apologize.
Well, that's fun. While you were gone, I gave a mini TED Talk on the wonderfulness that is Beyoncé and also reminded people to come see me at Flutter in Austin.
Flutter, guys. Don't miss it. But I think she does great in this movie.
Yes.
I think she's great. She clearly has some music talent, right? She's like one of the best music artists of the past 20 years. Anyway.
I do think it's funny that they only use like one of her songs in this movie, and then they use a bunch of placeholder songs that just like vaguely sound Beyonce-ish.
They do, yeah.
In a lot of the rest of the movie.
I recognized a few of them that weren't Beyonce. I recognized Beyonce's, but I recognized a few. I was like, oh, I think I heard this song on a radio at some point around this time period.
At some point.
Yeah.
But then there's one or two that I'm like, these are like the songs that are in like Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Where they're like almost a song. Yeah.
No, I don't want no thugs. A thug. Wait, that's not the right words.
That's not. There's one where it's like, I took my freedom and I put it in my car. And I was like, what?
Paige, you were watching a Chevy commercial. I thought it was really brave for Beyonce to be in a movie that is essentially the story of what happened to the fourth child of Destiny that nobody talks about.
Ooh, I think this was maybe the story of Becky with the good hair, and Becky should have known that Beyonce gonna have a chandelier for your ass.
Dude, when she opens her eye at the end after she falls through Chekhov's coffee table, I lost my mind. I was like, you can't kill this bitch. And then the chandelier was like, hold my light, and just like fell on her. It's like, hell yeah.
For a hot second, I was like, she RoboCop. Like, I was like, how is she still alive? And if they had opened her up and she was a robot like Megan Fox in Subservience.
You can't prove she's not, Paige. You can't prove she's not.
Can't prove it. Can't prove it. Can't prove it.
And I can't believe you mentioned that, like, they're not giving her much to do with her dialogue, Paige. This script is, like, awesome. It has lines like, she's the new temp. Oh, I think you mean temptress.
Yeah.
What? Come on. Shakespeare wishes.
There's one that Beyoncé says, and I wrote it down when we get to the final fight, that I was like, oh, the screenwriter high fucking fived themselves on that one. Oh no, it's during the breakup where he's like, where am I supposed to go? And she's like, to hell, but until then, the 4 seasons. I was like, yes!
That guy was like, command S, because I got to save this document and walk away. Like, it's not going to get better than this.
Save it immediately.
Yeah.
Final draft, save that under my hotkeys. Fucking nuts. I had a good time with this today.
Paige, I watched Obsessed at 30,000 feet, and I think everyone should watch it that way. Trying to, like, just really gauge when you think the crazy white lady is going to get naked and you have to hide your screen. Because that was fun. Anyway. She doesn't get naked, but like when she jumps in the car and like opens that trench coat, I was like, oh shit, sorry, ma'am.
That was in the trailer when this came out. I remember that shot from the fucking trailer.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
But can I tell you, in the trailer, they made it look sexy, like he was into it and she was seducing him or whatever. In the movie, when it happens, it's so unsexy. I laughed out loud. I couldn't stop myself.
It is sort of funny. It's like you're watching someone like aggressively not be able to read the room, right?
Yes.
Because he's not, in that moment, he is not, I think, doing anything wrong. I think he does some stuff wrong to get to that point. But
sure.
I think that like he's never in his mind actually pursuing her at all. So in the car, he's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yes.
And she's like, let's fuck, Idris. And he's like, get out the car. Like he like yells at her. It's awesome.
I would say that even their interactions in the office, while I think there are some that maybe would be a gray area, I don't think he has done or said anything to lead her on at all.
I think he said some stuff that, like, in hindsight, you shouldn't say that.
You shouldn't say, sure.
But, like, he didn't mean anything by it. And, like, she misconstrues it a lot. Like,
she misquotes him.
Exactly.
At one point.
Exactly. She, like, misconstrues it in her mind. And I think that, like, the example they give is, like, he says, and I think he probably shouldn't have said this, but he says, if I was single, I'd be into you, or whatever. And he's just trying to cheer her up.
Yeah.
And then she twists that in her mind to, I wish I was single so I could be with you. And that's not what he said at all.
That's not what he said at all.
So
that's not what he said at all. And here's the thing. I feel like if I was single, this is not an invitation to say, make me single, right?
Right.
It's like, if things were different, maybe something would be different, but they're not different. So it's not that, right?
And he does say many times to her, like, I'm happily married. Like, I don't want to be single, right?
Yeah, I don't want this.
So, like, it is just, okay, I was going to say it is just that, you know, Lisa is crazy or whatever. And is it, Paige? Because I think this is a very hot take, and I've only seen this movie once.
Oh, I'm so excited. Please tell me everything.
I think when we're not seeing Ben, he's pulling some strings behind the curtain. He's just like gaslighting her. So she's like getting texts from Idris that are actually from Ben, right? Like that kind of shit.
Oh, that he's trying to move in on it and is like using that as an angle.
I think he wants Beyonce. I don't blame him. Ben, I get it, but leave that relationship alone. Beyonce will drop you through her ceiling and throw a chandelier at you. Like, don't do it. But I did, because he's such a dirtbag. In the movie, Jerry O'Connell is Ben, by the way. So
yeah. His hair is the worst hair I've ever seen on earth.
I thought he looked great. Anyway, but he's such a dirtbag. Like, he's married and talking about how he's still trying to get strange from the office or whatever.
I'm just on the bench.
Yeah, like he's a terrible dude. But like in my mind, he was like the Joker of the office, like trying to pull the strings to get Idris Elba in trouble or whatever.
See, okay, I have a probably closer to what is on the screen take, but I think she was poisoning all the different members of the office so that she could take their desks.
She definitely was. Yeah.
Right.
And his assistant who talks to her at the end of the movie.
Worst assistant ever.
What? Why would you? She definitely poisoned you, bro. That's why you had the poop disease for like 3 days so she could work the desk.
She definitely put Visine in your coffee, and like that's 100% what it was.
Got that poop disease.
I have people who work for me, obviously, in my day job. And both of them know damn well better than to say any secrets without talking to me. And that's why I love them. Where I'll get a text that's like, hey, I'm going off work comms, but this person asked this. What are we going to say to them? And I'm like, that's why you're my closest confidants. That's what's up. Get you an assistant that is silent.
I like getting texts from my coworkers that are like, I have something to tell you. And I'm like, sweet, what's up?
Yeah.
And they're like, it's some major tea. And I'm like leaning in on my phone via text. And it's like so juicy. That they respond with, I'll have to tell you in person.
Love that. Love that. Come see me in my office right the fuck now. Drive to my fucking house where I work from home.
Paige, he lives in New York. I can't just come to the office. Although he's going to be at this conference, so I may have some tea next episode.
Be like, tell me everything. Tell me everything.
I know. Just to get back to the movie, because I know that's what everyone's here for.
Sure.
I thought it was crazy that they named this character Lisa when she's obviously pulling the Lisa system. Like, we all see it on the screen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, the L is let him see your tears, right? So, like, you appear vulnerable and bring him in, right? And she does such a good job of that.
The vague booking in person, I can't.
Yeah, that boyfriend was not real, guys.
No.
She didn't have a boyfriend.
It's the equivalent of going on Facebook and being like, why do days have to be so hard? Don't ask me about it.
That is so factually correct and accurate to what this character would be doing at the time.
100%.
And then the I in her name would be invade his personal space.
Ooh, yes.
But make it look accidental, and like that she breaks that touch barrier all the time. And then the S is share a secret page.
Oh, you think it's that and not sexual assault for the SA because that happens in this movie?
That absolutely does happen in this movie, and it leads to a much better twist at the height of when the whole scandal's happening at the doctor, which I'll bring up when we get there. No, but the S is share a secret, because this is like from her perspective, Paige.
Right. That's true.
She's like, this is the system, right? So she's just like sharing a secret, and that's like the band she recorded or whatever.
Sharon a secret?
Oh, somebody call Beyoncé.
Oof.
And the last one is arrive in a trench coat.
Oh,
like what?
The woman has unlimited trench coats.
Paige, if Natalie showed up in just a trench coat, I'd be like, we have to go immediately. Someone give the dogs a treat and lock them out of the bedroom. Like, it's going to get gross.
Oh, God. But does she, like, pop it open the way Allie Larder does in this movie? Because it's almost like you can hear the pop of the trench coat. Bonkers.
Paige, she ripped every button on that coat. Like, that's never going to close again.
Every single button is never going to close again. He's trying to close it for her. I'm like, no, you used to. Oh, my God, this movie.
Oh, man. Paige, I loved it. It was pretty crazy.
It's nuts.
But I definitely don't think it was Ben, really. I was just like playing around with that in my head because it was sort of fun. And obviously, like, I do think she's just crazy. Like, I don't think it was even like really premeditated, right?
Right.
It doesn't seem like she's doing it to sue them.
Right.
Which I think if it ended with her quitting and then she sued them, I'd be like, oh, honestly, well played, man. Like, get your millions and go home. Great.
Right.
But the fact that it escalates from there, like she is just a crazy lady.
Right. I just have an idea for our next movie. I'm planning out our next couple movies. There's one that I want a guest for, so I'm going to do something in between to hope that we can schedule that guest.
Is this RTP we're talking about or Horror Virgin?
Yes, RTP.
Okay.
But in between, I just looked up something that we hadn't done that I was thinking about doing. And it is listed as a musical comedy drama. And I was like, I had no idea this was a musical.
A music comdra?
Let's fucking go.
Well, what is it, Paige?
Anyway, I'm excited. I'll tell you at the end of this episode.
Oh, are we going to do it next?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, maybe we should just go through this movie scene by scene so we can figure out what movie we're doing next week.
Yay. Also, yeah, I don't think this is going to take all that long because not much happens. There's a whole lot of weird montages in this movie set to like Kirkland brand. Like we have Beyoncé at home songs.
Wow, that was amazing. Also, the score, not the songs they use for like the music in the movie, but like the score for the scenes is like we're watching Smallville on the CW. Like it's like that kind of score.
Absolutely.
Like as Beyonce is like looking through the house and she picks up something, it even goes like shing, like
yes,
like it's like an audio clue in a video game that we picked up something important. It's wild.
Yes, like you're collecting loot from enemies. It's hysterical.
It's great. No notes. Don't change a thing.
Incredible. We open on a car pulling into the driveway of a new home as they go and they take down like the sold sign outside. And my first thought was, how dare they dress Beyonce like this?
She's in suburbia, Paige.
I mean, they basically are like, she's a mom. And I'm like, she's still Beyonce, y'all. Like, come on.
I know, but she's playing a part. She's acting, Paige.
She is. She's in a peasant shirt that's 3 sizes too big and gray jeans that do absolutely nothing for her figure. But she has a baby that is named Kyle. And I realized that because there are adults named Kyle, that means at certain points there are babies named Kyle. But it was a real weird baby name for me.
I'm sorry, what? You like don't think Kyle is a good name for babies?
Yeah, it seems weird to call a baby Kyle. I know that's a hot, controversial take. It's fucking 9 p.m. I'm fucking exhausted, and I'm gonna die on this hill. Why a baby gotta be named Kyle?
Paige, I think you'll find that Kyle is short for Kyleathan.
Oh, that makes it better.
And when you're 18, you're allowed to shorten it.
You're allowed to shorten it. I was just like, Kyle. And then the more I was like, well, adults are named Kyle, which means it started somewhere. But I was just like, I don't think I've ever met a baby named Kyle.
How many babies do you meet? Like, I can't tell you the last baby I met.
I keep meeting babies, man. I'm in a season of my life where I just keep meeting babies.
Damn. Babies just be flocking to Paige.
But I got some sort of baby magnet that I just keep meeting these babies. Ain't none of them named Kyle. Some of them named like Khaleesi and shit, but like no Kyle.
So triggered by that.
So triggered. Anyway, they get inside and they're like hanging out in the house and like cuddling as they're like unpacking. And they're in the back of like between them in the background, they are burning the for sale sign in the fireplace. I
saw that.
And I was like,
hell yeah.
Those are plastic.
I know. You know, you could tell because the fire is like blue.
Yeah, it's like not burning it. I was like, what?
I was like, oh shit. Like if you're standing over that smoke, you're getting cancer currently. Like that is very bad for you to breathe in.
Or you're letting the neighborhood know there's a new pope. Like it's not gonna look normal. But
oh, shit, that got me. I'm sorry.
But they kind of walk through the house and they're kind of taking a look at all the rooms. And their bedroom has a mirror on the ceiling, which like, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Beyonce was like, we got to get rid of that. And Idris was like, but do we though?
No, we don't.
Have you seen us? I get like why maybe if you're not shaped like these two people are shaped, you might not want to because your body image issues or whatever. Guys, look in a mirror. It's fun to watch. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, look, I got a giant mirror in my bedroom that like stands up, but also on our honeymoon, there was a mirror on the ceiling, but unfortunately it was a very small mirror that they were just using to cover up the fact that there used to be a light fixture there and it was positioned by our feet so we could just occasionally see our feet while we were getting busy.
That is not as sexy as it sounds.
No, but it is fun.
Paige, what I thought was funny is on the mirror above it, if you look, you have to pause it because they don't show the actual mirror that long. There's like one shot where you see their reflection in it.
Right.
But someone wrote on it, objects in the mirror may appear larger than they actually are.
Your climax may be closer than it appears. Oh, man. But they did something that everyone should do if you get a chance, and that's fuck on the floor to christen your new domiciles.
Which their furniture wasn't delivered yet
It
or
wasn't
whatever.
there, yeah.
If you're going to fuck on the floor. Well, I mean, like, if you don't have furniture, like, do it.
Right.
Don't not do it.
I didn't get a chance to do it in this house because I had bronchitis when we moved in. So I was asleep on the floor of our apartment while my husband, like, assembled our bed and stuff at this house.
Paige, you live there, and the floor is always the floor.
That is true.
Yeah, like, but I don't care. Like, do whatever you want to do. I don't.
We got like furniture around though. Anyway. So, but if you get a chance, do this. I'm just saying.
I agree.
Anyway, they have sex before he goes to work. Great. But they did leave the baby alone like 3 rooms away while they were doing it, which admittedly he is in a stroller. He can't really move, but still.
Yeah, he's a baby.
I was like, what if he knocks the stroller over? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm happy for them, but yeah. And I don't have kids, so I don't know.
Kyle!
I don't know if that's like appropriate or whatever, but.
We leave our cat out of the room all the time, but he's not in a stroller.
Paige, I do think that Kyle is one half of my theory that this script is based on Terminator.
Oh my goodness. Tell me everything. Is she the Terminator because that's why she lives when she hits the coffee table?
Yes, exactly that. And she'll just never stop. I don't think she's actually the Terminator. I just think that that's what the guy was thinking when he wrote the movie.
Right,
and
right.
then because of that, their son is named Kyle and the detective is named Reese.
Reese. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he goes to work. And this is where it's like a montage of her unpacking and him going to work. And it's during this commute montage that we see that this movie was produced by whomst but Magic Johnson himself.
What? I didn't see that.
Irvin Magic Johnson, sir. Yes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Mr. Showtime himself.
Yep. So he gets to the building. He gets in the elevator. She happens to be in the elevator. And she's like, hey, are you pressed floor 22? Are you going to Gage Bendix? And he was like, yeah, I work there. And he's like, are you one of our clients? And she's like, do I look like I could be? And he's like, yes, but mainly because I don't know you and I work there, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm a temp. And he's like, oh, cool. There you go. So they get off the elevator.
Can I point out something while they're still on the elevator?
Yeah, I have a theory about this too. Go ahead.
Oh, I do think she targeted him. I definitely do. She's got a type. But when she's looking over at him, before they even speak, and it's just them in the elevator because everyone that worked on the other floor got off, right?
Right.
He is looking as far away from her as he can.
Yeah.
Like he is looking directly at the wall over his left shoulder and she's to his right. So he is like he's not inviting this at all.
Mm-mm.
And she just like, sort of like forces a meet cute, more or less.
Right. Yeah. So she starts the conversation. They get off the elevator and she's like, I got to get all this paperwork to Mr. Charles. And he's like, oh, yeah, look out for that guy. He's the biggest asshole in the office. And then he goes to his desk. And as he says hi to people, we realize he's Mr. Charles, that he was kind of just telling a joke.
I thought that was hilarious. I was like, hell yeah, Idris.
Let's go. But she figures out she's supposed to be giving the papers to him. And they're like, well, he's married. And she's like, yeah, the good ones are always married. And then his assistant, Patrick,
yeah,
is like, yeah, or straight. And she's like, aha, you're going to be my collaborator. Like she immediately nails him.
I know, right?
But here's what I think. This is my theory for this movie.
Okay.
I think she targeted him for 2 reasons. One, because he's like not the head of the company, but he's on the come up. He's probably expected to be taking over or in a higher position soon. 2, she has marriage records and stuff, and I think she was able to figure out that he had married his former assistant.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And so she probably figured that was her in.
Yeah. I mean, like, he does have a track record of that, although I don't know that he did that before Beyoncé, right? So it may have just worked out that, like, he fell in love with that person, right?
Beyonce talks about it at one point, and she was basically like, you treated me different. Like you were kind of flirty with all the other girls, but you were different with me.
Yeah.
So I think he has like a level of, playfulness with everyone else, but with her, he was serious. So, because I do think he loves her.
Me too.
I don't think he wants anything with Lisa. I think he finds himself in a compromising position, but I don't think it's because he wanted that at all.
Yeah. I think he fucked up by not telling his wife immediately when some weirdness started happening. But I don't think he wanted the weirdness to happen at all.
No, and I think he should have told HR too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was going to. Like later in the movie, he was going to when she quits. So like, yeah.
We'll talk about it when we get there. But something very similar happened to me one time where I probably should have reported sexual harassment earlier and then the person got fired. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, cool, because this was happening. And they were like, yeah, someone else reported on your behalf. And I was like, cool.
Good Lord.
I was very young at the time and didn't didn't think I could report. I thought I would be retaliated against, but I'll talk about it when we get there.
Do it.
I'm fine. Anyway.
She still hates trench coats, though. She hates guys in trench coats. Yeah.
Hate him. Anyway, we go into his meeting. There's a lot of like long meetings about accounts that I'm like, these are not necessary to the story.
They are not.
But we're going to sit through them.
Like, I get that he has a job. Like, all I need is the one scene where you see her doing some research or whatever, and it shows like the company website and it says he's like the senior vice president of whatever. Like, that's all I need. I don't need 4-minute scenes where they're talking about work accounts. And like, I just sold them on $150 million private equity investment or whatever. Like, I get it.
Right.
You make a lot of money and you're doing rich things. Great for you. Let's move past this. And we get that like twice. We get like 2 scenes like that.
We get 2 of them. This is one of them.
Yeah.
But this is also where we get Jerry O'Connell with the worst haircut I've ever seen.
Think he looked great. Never looked better, that Jerry O'Connell.
It is the haircut of a man whose forehead is 5 feet high, and he's trying to comb down his bangs to cover it.
Yes. That is what it looks like.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like he's wearing a hat made out of hair. Not a wig, but a hat made out of hair.
And he's more or less playing the same character as he does in Piranha 3D.
That's true. That is accurate. Joe Francis works at this hedge fund firm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's through his conversation with Jerry O'Connell that we learn that Beyoncé used to be his assistant, and that's how they got met and got married, etc. But he finishes his workday. He's about to go, and she's just like, "Oh, bye, Mr. Charles." He's like, "Okay, bye." And she's like, "Are you leaving early?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm moving. I got to go get home and help Beyoncé unpack because, you know." And he's like, "Good luck at your next job," because he assumes she's going to just be gone.
She's a temp. Yeah.
She's a temp.
That's
right?
typically what happens. Yeah.
And he exchanges no contact information or anything.
No, this is very much goodbye forever, good luck. I mean, it's not like he hated her or anything. She's just sort of inconsequential because they're like ships in the night. She's going off to her next job and he's got a wife and a job. Like, he doesn't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit. So we cut to, he goes home. Meanwhile, she's snooping. And she's like, maybe I'll be here a few more days. He goes home. He has to change the baby's diaper. They're unpacking boxes, drinking champagne out of coffee cups, classic moving thing. And she's just like, hey, why don't we try that mirror out again? I was just like, ooh, surfboard. Get it, Beyoncé. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, I knew she would be a quick convert to the mirror is great. We should keep the mirror.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Meanwhile, he goes back to work the next day, and who should be there? What? Lisa. But she's there for Patrick, and he's like, oh, he has the flu. And I was like, she Visine to that boy's coffee.
Yeah, he got the poop disease. Like, she did something to him, for sure.
Oh, yeah. And so she's like, okay, don't worry, I'll work your desk. And he's like, all right, follow me, because he's going to have to, like, tell her what to do for the day. And she's like, I already sent your wife flowers, and I already know all the things, and I know that you take it black with 2 sugars.
When he sat down and he was like, all right, first things first, and she's like, I've already done that. I was like, you don't know what he's gonna say. He's gonna be like, first things first.
I'm the realist.
Exactly, Paige. And that's not something that you could do, Lisa. So
Lisa.
That drove me crazy. I was like, what are you, psychic? Like, no. I mean, at least let him finish his sentence, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, that's cool that she knew that. This just made it seem like they were trying to make her seem like she was psychic.
I just keep thinking of all the other crazy first things first, like, lyrics I know. Like, first things first, I'll eat your brains, then I'm going to keep rocking gold teeth and fangs. And I'm like, you know what? There's some great answers there that he could have used and been like, oh, you thought it was flowers? No, it's not.
First things first, let's do a bump. And he brings out like a bindle of Coke.
A bindle? Like he had to hold it over his shoulder like a hobo? I love it.
Oh, you don't know what a bindle is, Paige, in the Coke world.
Oh, no, I don't.
A bindle is, God damn, I wish I did not know this.
No, tell me this. How do I not know a Coke thing? Damn.
You use high gloss magazine paper because it won't, like the cocaine won't stick to it.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
just like literally fold up your cocaine in that because if there's nothing else to put it in, it's like a hack. I've actually never done cocaine, but because I was on the road.
I've never heard of that ever.
It works. Because I was on the road with a lot of people who did cocaine, I know way too much about it.
I've only ever seen it in baggies or metal receptacles. So, yeah. Anyway, good to know.
Yeah.
I guess. But she's kind of like listening in on his calls. She's talking to Beyoncé. She's kind of flirting. And he's clearly uncomfortable, though. Like, he's not jazzed that she's there.
I mean, it is sort of weird. She's like hovering a lot for an assistant. and she's a temp assistant, so she's not going to be there in a day or two, like,
Yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we cut to back home with Beyonce, and she's talking about going back to school to get like her degree in like operations management
Yeah.
or something like that.
She's a driven person who married her boss at, when they were like, I don't know. I kind of got the vibe that they were sort of in between school and school, more or less. Like they had done some college and were looking to go back and finish it, but they were taking a gap year or whatever.
Or working while they were still in school, yeah.
That could be too, yeah. And they met the love of their life and got pregnant, so maybe she stayed out a semester or 2 or 3 or whatever. And now that the baby's here and a little older, let's go back to school.
Yeah.
But Idris is like, you don't have to do that. Like let's just whatever. And she's still like, even though they don't need that income, she wants to do that. I actually really liked that they made the character that way, that she was like, listen,
Me too.
You come home and you tell me all the shit that you did throughout the day, and I need that.
I want to have things to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, I need that. I need that too. And I really liked that it showed that, like, hey, it's okay if you have ambition and also are a mother.
Yeah, absolutely.
An ambition for like the business world, I should say, because it's not like being a mom is easy. That's not what I'm saying. And it's not work. It is work. But
no, but like you're allowed to have other desires.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I like that she did, even though in the movie, she's just a mom the whole time. I liked that. It makes her feel like a more fleshed out character, like she's a real person.
This movie takes place over initially 2 weeks, and then there's like a gap of a few months.
I think it's 3 months.
Yeah, there's a gap of 3 months, and then there's a little more time after that, to the point where like from start to finish it's 6 months. But of what we see on the screen, we see 2 weeks worth of time.
Yeah.
So like I wasn't that bummed that we didn't see her get to realize this. I was
me either.
fine that we just, hear about it happening.
No, all we really need to know about Beyonce's story is that she had to kill a bitch one time for coming at her husband.
And good for her.
Yeah.
Girl should have known. Anyway, she's like, hey, why didn't you call me back today? I called around 4. And she's like, I left a message. And he's like, oh, the temp. Yeah, she told me that Shannon called, which is not that far off from Sharon. So I probably would have asked follow-up questions, but whatever. But Beyonce's like, I thought we said no female assistants.
Which I think, Paige, correct me if I'm wrong, and this is definitely a between you and your spouse kind of a thing.
Sure.
I think that's a fair ask of Beyonce to Idris Elba. Just going to say it.
I think to me, it implies a level of distrust that we should probably get to the bottom of.
I agree.
But here's the other thing too. And I guess maybe I have never given my husband a reason to distrust me. So there's that. Because I work in 2 different industries that are male dominated. And so I don't have the choice of only having assistants or coworkers or whatever of the opposite gender. However, in this case, she's like, I was your assistant and I know what's up.
Yeah.
And I know how that can happen. But I also think like we need to get to the bottom of this distrust. Now, after this movie, the events of this movie, I think she's going to be like all robot assistants from now on. And I would not blame her at that point. I would be like, you're working from home.
Like, bitch, you got Alexa and nothing else.
But normally, if there had not been some infidelity another time that we don't know about, I might be a little concerned about that ask.
That's fair.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
But she shows up the next day and she basically is like, that temp better be gone. She's not. Patrick is still out and he's not happy about it.
No.
But Beyonce shows up the next day and she's like, hey, come for lunch. We'll go hang out. He's like, I can't. I got to work. And the temp comes in and is like, oh, hello. Like, your son is so handsome, just like his father. And Beyonce's like, bitch, what?
You even see her when she says just like her dad or just like his dad.
Yes.
Beyonce is like, pff. Like she like makes a sound and like looks over at her. She's not hiding it at all either. Like
no.
Lisa knows. Lisa knows what she's doing. She knows what she did, and she knows that Beyonce will one day find her and murder her.
Oh yeah, and I love that Beyonce's like, good thing you won't be here too long. My husband can be demanding.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, fight.
Oh, Paige, they do.
I know, it's great. It's the last 20 minutes of the movie is just them fighting.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, I also want to point out this. When she comes in there and they introduce her to their baby, whose name escapes me because it's not really a baby name.
Kyle.
It doesn't a real name for a baby. There's no baby's named Kyle, Paige. We talked about this.
No, there's no babies named Kyle.
No, come on. You never met a baby named Kyle.
Kyle!
Anyway, she touches Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
If I was meeting someone's spouse for the first time in this setting, like at work, and they had their baby there, I would not then go touch that little baby's tummy tom. I would not touch that baby at all. That seemed very weird to me.
Okay, so I've been on the other side of this where I was working with someone on a project. We were not romantically involved at all. But their significant other very much was worried about that. I don't know what was going on in their relationship. It was not my business. But so we were working on something at their house. And I want to be clear, in the kitchen, like out in public, like not hidden or anything.
So y'all were fucking like from The Orphan, right?
Yeah, like in The Orphan. But she brought the baby out and it seemed very clear to be like, there's a baby, don't wreck our home. And I was like, I didn't want to. And almost as I, in the moment, thought it was wise to try and interact with the baby to show that I would never. This is such a cute baby. And so I just grabbed the baby's foot and like shook its foot.
You made a deal with that baby's toes to not break up their family, Paige.
I didn't. I never did. Nothing ever happened. It's fine.
And this little piggy won't have an affair.
And this little piggy won't. Yeah, just like, hi, baby foot. And I was like, oh, he's so cute. Hi. Oh my gosh, so good to see it. Like, and I just tried to like, I was like, maybe if she thinks I'm super nice and excited about the baby, I would never hurt that baby. I don't know. It was a very strange interaction.
And Paige, listen, you were right to like call out babyfoot. Everyone's talking about Bigfoot, but we should really be worried about babyfoot.
Honestly, babies' feet are closer to our hand size. So maybe when you're hand shaking with babies, shake their foot. I don't know. Start a trend.
Baby feet.
Baby feet.
Let's do this. Let me shake a baby feet.
I also think baby shoes are insanely cute. And so, feets. But this was like a baby-ass baby. It was very young.
And she touched his belly. I hated it. I was like, don't touch a child that you don't know. Unless like Beyoncé was like, do you want to hold him or something like that? I would not touch anyone's child. You would have to like offer, like I would never do that. That seems crazy to me.
Yeah, she touches the baby and Beyonce's like, oh, and I'm like, fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch anybody's baby. That's crazy.
I ask if I could touch the baby like a dog, right?
Yeah.
Can I pet it? Is it nice? Is your baby nice or does it bite?
They all bite. Paige, by the way, I'm sorry I'm eating.
No, you're pulling a Mikey.
I know. I'm so sorry, babe. I'm so sorry, Natalie, for having to edit this out. I apologize. But what do you think I ordered from room service? And please know, I could order anything on the menu. I could order anything I want, as much as I want. What do you think I ordered?
Chicken strips?
That's fucking so close to true. It's not quite, but it's so close, Paige. I ordered a chicken Caesar and 3 Diet Cokes.
Oh, hell yes. That's a man after my own heart to order multiple Diet Cokes. They're like, are multiple people eating this? No.
They brought 2 different cups with ice, and I was like, I hate ice. Get the fuck out of my room.
Joke's on you, buddy. I'm going to use this cup tomorrow for water.
It'll still be cold. I guess how much it was for a chicken Caesar salad.
Oh.
And 3 Diet Cokes.
You're at the Cosmo?
Yeah.
You're at the Cosmopolitan. Chicken Caesar salad, 3 Diet Cokes. Each of those Diet Cokes was at least $7.50. That chicken Caesar salad was probably at least $30. I'm going to say after tip, you paid $75 for that salad and those 3 Diet Cokes.
With the tip, it was $98.75.
Viva Las Vegas.
And listen, Paige, the salad, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. But you're in the Cosmo.
Yeah.
Todd, I'm about to blow your fucking mind.
Blow my mind.
Downstairs in the Cosmopolitan.
That's where I am.
Off the side of the casino, there is what looks to be a barber shop. You probably walked past it on your way in.
I might have. I don't know.
Okay.
I walked right to the front desk and then right to my room because I had to record an episode on this.
That barber shop? Not a barber shop.
What?
I mean, it is. You can get your hair cut there.
Tell me it's a speakeasy.
It is a speakeasy.
Fuck yeah, I love that shit.
It's an entrance to a speakeasy that is largely a whiskey bar, but their main feature is that they do live band karaoke.
What? I have to go right now. Oh my God, that's amazing.
It's called the Barber Shop, I believe.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah. And I don't know which nights they do it, but if you're there till Saturday, on some of the nights they do live band karaoke. On other nights, they have a band play and they just play requests. So like they have a band there and people will be like, Brightside, and then they just play it.
That's awesome.
It's fucking nuts, dude. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
See, I'm telling you, there are places in Las Vegas you will like and enjoy, and that is definitely one of them.
I just had to work, it's like I'm here for a work convention. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's great places in Vegas. I just will not be able to spend time with them. But I'm definitely going to try and check that place out.
Yeah. And gather some people with you, because if you can do bottle service for a table, you can get songs on the list.
Hell yeah.
That's what's up.
You ever watch rom-coms and think, wait a minute, this guy's actually a full-blown villain? Take Love Actually. We've seen the scene where Andrew Lincoln shows up at Keira Knightley's door with cue cards professing his love, even though she literally married his best friend like yesterday. But let's rewind a bit. How did he get all that secretly recorded footage of her face? Was that a wedding highlight reel or a surveillance operation? If Keira Knightley had NordVPN, she could have protected her online privacy, avoided unwanted cyberstalking, and maybe even put a little password protection on her wedding footage. Because seriously, how did he even get that? Oh wait, he was the videographer. That's what it is. Either way, that's why NordVPN is the real MVP of the modern romance. Here's the deal. NordVPN encrypts your internet connection so no one, not hackers, not your internet provider, and definitely not your husband's weirdly intense friend, can snoop on what you're doing online. And with 7,100 plus servers in 118 countries, you can change your virtual location with a single click, which means yes, you can finally watch that obscure rom-com movie that only seems to be available on like BritBox or whatever. And here's where it gets even better. One NordVPN account protects up to 10 devices. So whether you're scrolling through dating app horror stories, streaming rom-coms, or panic searching, what are the legal consequences of confessing your love via cue cards to a married woman? NordVPN's got you covered. So do yourself a favor. Go to nordvpn.com/romancingthepod and use the promo code romancingthepod, all one word, for an exclusive deal. That's nordvpn.com/romancingthepod to protect your data, to unlock your content, and stay safe from creepy dudes with signs on the street. Ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Perfect for any active or busy lifestyle, which is perfect for me. I have had to travel so much, I'm barely at home. And when I am, I don't want to spend that time grocery shopping. So Factor is awesome for that. I just come in, throw it in the microwave, 2 minutes, heat and eat. It's the best. And Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, and I really love the grab and go snacks too, but for similar reasons. It's just really convenient. So eat smart and get started at factormeals.com/romancingthepod50off. Use code romancingthepod50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code romancingthepod50off. That's such a crazy code. I'm so sorry. But use it to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Anyway, so he leaves to go to an appointment, and Beyonce's like, and then she leaves. And as he's on his way out, he can tell that his wife is upset. And so he's just like, Patrick is back tomorrow? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, all right, cool. Meanwhile, while he's out at the meeting and Beyonce's gone home, Lisa goes to take a file to his desk and uses that as an excuse to snoop through his desk and find his CDs.
Oh, yeah. Like his plastic CD changer thing. I
found mine the other day through my boxes from the apartment.
But this is just a one pager, right? Where it's this one CD per page. Yeah. I had a 4-pager and it was 25 pages and that shit was full, man.
That's the one I found. It was the 4-pager. It weighs 15 pounds.
I know. Before, man, the iPod changed everyone's life in such a great way.
It did, but I did buy a CD player recently, after I found my CD binder.
Yeah.
I bought just a little on Amazon, a little tiny purple CD player.
Awesome.
So I could still listen to them. Because not everything is on Spotify. Sometimes you burned things off LimeWire or whatever, and you need to preserve the media. Anyway, next day, Patrick is back, and he's like, oh, thank goodness. But Marge is out because she got the stomach bug now, a.k.a. the Visine.
Yeah, she got that poop disease now.
She got that poop disease.
It's going around the office.
Yes. But we cut to, Patrick is back. She's like, hey, what's the tea? And Patrick's like, you listened in on his calls, didn't you? And she's like, shh, so did you. This is how we found out that Patrick is like the TMZ of The Office.
I also think that like Patrick is also into Idris Elba, like a little bit obsessed, but not to this level. But like,
Don't blame him. Don't
I get it, man.
blame him.
Yeah, if you like those kind of shapes, he's got good versions of them.
He's got good shapes.
Yeah, he's got great shapes.
We cut to her vague booking in the break room. The like, why does everything in life have to hurt me so badly when I'm just a sensitive soul? Don't ask me what's going on. Like, exactly that. Just her sitting at the table.
I don't want to talk about it, but sometimes I really hate being an empath.
Oh, yes.
It's like that kind of shit.
Sometimes hearts are meant to be broken. ... And then just nothing. And then when people are like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? They just don't answer any of the comments.
But they love it.
They're like, oh, so many people are asking.
And you're like, why did you react and not respond? Like, what does that mean? I'm so confused.
Heart.
I hope the 3 different dudes you're manipulating right now all fall for this.
It's about me, isn't it? I didn't mean to break your heart. Leave it on red.
That's why I have, well, not for that specific reason, but I leave on read receipts because I have to want you to know I read your message and I will not be responding to you.
I feel bad because I leave them on for a myriad of things because I talk to a bunch of different people. But it also means that sometimes I can't physically respond to everyone who messages me about everything. I'm sorry. I cannot. I do not have time or emotional bandwidth for that. And so I feel bad when it says I read it and then just didn't do anything about it. But that does mean I read it. So good for you, I guess.
Message received.
Message received. It's really hard on me. Don't ask me about it.
But this is exactly what she's doing, right? She's like, you know, my boyfriend broke up with me, or I don't even know if it's that. It's like, whatever. It didn't work out. She's crying.
Right.
And he is just like trying to build her up like a friend would.
Right.
And he does say, if I was single, I'd totally be into you. And that's sort of the way he says it. It's almost a throwaway, like.
It's meant to be like, you are worthy of someone cool.
Yes.
I think you're cool. Like, that's basically what he's saying.
Like, Paige, I tell you all the time, I love you.
I love you too.
That would be like you assuming that like that means romantically. When like, you know, I don't mean that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the level of crazy she's taking it to.
Yeah, she's crying in the break room. She crying.
Oh, you will always win me over with some Silk Sonic, baby.
Must have spent $45,000 down at Tiffany's.
Oh, no.
Anyway.
Paige, I'll have to tell you this, and it's a moment of vulnerability, and I would appreciate not being made fun of this online, but I listened to the Silk Sonic album top to bottom. Probably 80% of the time I'm electric skateboarding around my neighborhood.
Skate to me, baby.
Paige,
skate.
That's where it started. That song was a gateway to just me listening to the whole album while I'm riding around, and I do dance. And it's not good.
It's all shoulders because Todd is a shoulder dancer.
Well, it's hard. You can't really dance like with your feet on a skateboard. You'll die.
No. I'm your shoulder dancer. Your dancer for shoulders.
It's because I play drums and you can't like dance. You know, you're sitting down unless you're John Stamos.
Anyway, one of the biggest things I thought in this scene while they're sitting and crying is that she has an unopened Snapple iced tea on the table, and I could just see it from the back, and I was like, oh god, I want a fucking Snapple so bad. I like couldn't stop thinking about how much I wanted that Snapple.
Paige, I honestly was like, really? You're gonna put a Snapple here? Like, oh, is she about to Snapple? Is that what you're trying to say?
Just want him to open it and be like, most of the time when they say they'll divorce their wife, they won't. Here's your Snapple fact for the day.
I know, right? Yeah.
Penguins mate for life.
But Idris Elba doesn't.
Anyway, she leaves and she's like, thanks for being a shoulder to cry on. Don't ask me about it. And then leaves. And Jerry O'Connell comes in and is like, what was that about? And he's like, oh, her boyfriend dumped her. It's fine. And Jerry O'Connell's like, perfect. Now you can bang her. And he's like, I'm not interested. I'm married. I'm not doing that. And Jerry O'Connell's like, well, I might. I'm gross.
I mean, yeah, he is gross. Although he does admit that he's like, I don't think I'm her type, but you definitely are.
Right.
Because it's pretty clear that like she's got the hots for the Elba.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's so big, it has an Elba. Anyway, whatever, Paige. I can't be the only one bringing the comedy to the podcast while you bury your face in your shirt.
just like baby arm.
Exactly.
Oh God.
I bet it's huge. Anyway, let's move on.
Who knows?
Beyonce knows.
I guess I'll have to wait until I exercise that hall pass to find out. But he comes back to his desk and there's a mixtape there.
Because it's 1985.
It's 2009. I think the last mixtape I made was 2008. So this tracks.
So when you say mixtape,
A mixed CD.
okay, I was gonna say it's not a tape, right? Like that.
It's not a tape.
That ended a long time ago. I burned CDs for girls I liked, and I was like, I hope you like Jamiroquai, and I never heard from him again. But like, Virtual Insanity slaps, and I don't mind telling people about it.
Anyway, a lot more effort goes into making a mixtape because you had to like record and pause, as opposed to like mix CD where you could just like drag songs over.
It was great, man.
I miss, it's not this, and I hear you in like listening to this being like, but playlists, it's not the same. It's not the same to like, you got to be able to like gift it to somebody and be like, oh, you like it, and then like, you know.
It's the difference between physical media and digital media, and I think it means more if it's in the physical realm.
Right.
So like, I will always have a love for mixtapes or mixed CDs, right? Or anything in the physical form.
Right.
But I'll say, I do think playlists are like the now version of that.
The now version.
Yeah.
But in this case, it was just this one band because she like found their one CD in his CD changer and was like, I got it. And then like texts him about the CD and they're like, oh, I like that band. That's cool. And I think she takes that as engagement and he's just trying to be friendly. Like,
this is the sharing the secret thing because she admits that she stole it. And a few things that I want to point out in this is they're using like an inter-office chat system. It's like what Slack would be now, but it's like very 2009. It looks a lot like IRC chat, if you remember that from way back in the day.
Yeah. It's either IRC chat or back in the day, there was a Yahoo chat, and there is, I think there's still a Gmail version, isn't there? But I know there was one back at the time that there was like an inter-office G chat thing.
But I got to point out that it's really funny to me that her name is Temp Girl. And her name is like all caps. It's red. It's in its own font. And then his name, remember, she's a temp.
Which means she had to set up her office email as Temp Girl and add all the functions.
Right? She's been there 4 days or whatever.
Right.
His name is Derek01, all lowercase. Like, this guy does not use this service is all I'm saying. Like, she has spent 4 hours customizing her shit. And he's like, I didn't even know you could chat through this. Like, I thought that was so funny to me.
Oh, so real.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to, he comes home and he's like changing for the Christmas party that I think is that night. And either he's like changing or this is the next day and the Christmas party was on a weekend. It's kind of unclear. Regardless.
Yeah, it's not super clear, but we do know that like there are no spouses allowed at the Christmas party, which like red flag first off.
Yeah.
But like the Christmas party is debauch. Like it was wild that they did all, like they were, well, we'll get there when we get there, but
let me ask you because so early days, we used to have cocktail hours and stuff like this in the office monthly, and there were no spouses allowed unless you had like special privilege to do it. But it was largely because they're like, we only have enough money for the people who work here to do this. But our like Christmas party and stuff was like a fancy thing where you did bring spouses. You just had to RSVP for both of you.
Yeah.
And then now we have like leadership dinners and like fancy stuff, which is also no spouses allowed. But again, it's because you're going straight from work and just going to a restaurant, and it's more a business meeting than a thing. I have never been in a situation like this.
Me either. They are like, I mean, are we talking about it? Can we talk about the Christmas party?
Yeah,
because
let's talk about it.
It's just like in their office, which is fine. Like that's a fine venue for an office Christmas party. But
that's where we used to have our cocktail parties when we did our happy hours. Yeah,
that makes sense. But they hung up like mistletoe.
Yeah.
Which like, you know what you're supposed to do under that.
Yeah, eat it for minty flavor.
Right. And you're also supposed to kiss if you find yourself under it with somebody.
Sure.
Anyway, it's crazy to me that they would put that, like HR's up there hanging mistletoe around the office Christmas party. Like that's crazy to me. Also, like Ben is talking to Idris Elba about the lady from accounting who gave them lap dances last year. And she's like over there like playfully not quite flashing, but almost flashing her boob at them. Like, what is this office? And where did all these employees come from when the office consisted of 8 people until this scene?
Yeah. Now, I will say he ran into her down in what looks like the lobby of their office building to get burgers before they go up to the office Christmas party so that they have food in their system and they're not just drinking. But also those burgers looked awful.
I mean, yeah.
It looked like a backyard barbecue burger where somebody didn't toast the buns. Come at me.
I don't think you're going to get any flack for that because that's what they look like.
But here's my favorite part of the conversation there is that she's like, so what's your goals? Like, what's your like life plan? And he's like, I got to own the company by 35. And I was like, he's not 35 already?
Paige, he's definitely 40. Like, I mean, he looks 38, like at least.
Right? It was like a jet by 40. And I was like, what do you mean he's not 40? Anyway, but this is where she orders the dirty martini, filthy, that we'll see her do later on as well.
Right.
But we go up to the party. It is debauchery. He's dancing with Marge, which I think is a safe bet.
Yep.
And then she kind of cuts in and he's like, no, please, no.
Yeah, Marge is like, I don't know, conservatively 55. And just like another assistant that she has worked there for a while, they're like friends, right?
Right.
So like, yeah, they're not like dancing up on each other. They're just like dancing around. They might as well be line dancing, you know, like.
Right.
Yeah. But then Lisa comes over and starts to shake the thing.
Can I just say this is a plot point that also happens in Baby Girl, except in Baby Girl, she watches Harris Dickinson like dance with another girl and take his tie off all seductively and then drop it on the floor. And then she picks it up and smells it and like gets off to smelling it.
Paige, I have to watch this movie immediately.
It's fucking nuts. It is fucking nuts. Anyway, he's like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go to the bathroom and then I'm gonna go home. I'm done. Time to get home to my wife and kids.
Yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm gonna piss the booze out and then I'm gonna drive half drunk home.
Yeah, crap the booze out.
Because this party's weird.
It's weird. But he goes into the bathroom and she like follows him in there with the mistletoe.
Pushes him into a stall. Paige, I would have screamed very high pitched and
yes.
run out of the bathroom immediately. Because you're not getting me locked up in some scandal, ma'am. I am out. Get away from me.
No, and he's like trying to get her. He's trying to push her off and saying stop.
He is, and she is not respecting it. But he should just not like beat her up, but like push past her and leave the bathroom.
Well, the reason he can't is because who should walk in but Patrick, and he's trying to figure out who's in the stall, and it looks bad. Even though we know what's actually happening, it looks bad.
I mean, at one point, she's like practically down on her knees. It looks like she's blowing him from outside the stall, and we get that shot.
Right.
And if I was Patrick, I would not then be like, oh, I gotta pee real quick. So like, go about your blowjob, but I'm gonna pee real quick while you're blowjobbing. I would have left the bathroom.
Or I would have peed and then gotten out really fast and just like been quiet, you know?
Well, that's what Patrick did.
But this is, in my opinion, a sexual assault occurs in this scene.
It's worse later because he's drugged, but
sure,
this is a sexual assault.
Yes, yeah.
She molests him in this scene, like she kisses him a bunch and he's saying no the whole time.
Right. And so he pushes her off, leaves. We cut to the next day. She still works there and he's like actively trying to avoid her. And he's given her nothing that day where he's like, I don't know. No, I don't want to talk about it.
They sort of pass each other in the hallway and he says, hey, good morning. And that's it. Like, it's not like, it's not friendly like it has been up till this point, right?
Right. And so everyone seems to leave. She seems to leave with Patrick and he's like, great. So he goes down to his car and who should surprise be in the car but her. And she's like, I owe you an apology. And he's like, we both had a few drinks. Let's just forget about it. Nothing happened. Nothing's gonna happen, basically. And then she's like, or did it? Pop lingerie.
This is the reveal. I didn't realize that this trench coat had a reveal.
Right.
And she's got just lingerie on. And he is like, okay, maybe get out of the car, please.
Yeah, get out of the car now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he eventually yells because she doesn't listen because she's very much like, what do you mean? I thought this is what you wanted. And he's like, what?
And he's like, no, I literally nothing. Yes.
The problem is he starts to engage in the crazy. If someone is this level of like delusional crazy, I don't mean like crazy in the sense of like my wife's crazy. I mean like she's having delusions about her and Idris, right?
Right.
I would at that point not ask them to clarify anything. It would just be me yelling, get out of my car, or me getting out of my own car and leaving. I'd be afraid for my safety, honestly. if they're that level of crazy,
Yes.
yeah.
I might have called security.
Yeah.
I would have definitely emailed HR at this point. But he gets home and he's about to tell Beyonce what happened, but she's like, yeah, my sister's husband's been cheating and blah, blah, and it's all that. And he's like, oh, yeah, never mind. And I'm like, you should tell her, man.
Yeah.
You should tell her.
Right away.
Right away.
Honestly, like the night of the party, come home and I realized
She was asleep and
the movie gives him the excuse of she's asleep.
yeah.
If that happened to me and I got home and Natalie was asleep, I'd be like, babe, we gotta talk. I'm so sorry. We have to talk. And I would just tell her.
Yeah. And I'm going to HR tomorrow or whatever.
Yes, absolutely. You are not gonna get me in a, well, why didn't you tell anybody when it happened or whatever?
Yeah.
No, I'm telling everybody I am covering my shit because I'm not going down for this. You know what I'm saying?
No. And he does literally then the next day after the car thing, which again, he should have done before, but we're not blaming the victim here. He is the victim.
Right. No. Yeah. Whatever. He does it when he does it. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes to HR and they're like, oh, well, she's already, not going to come back. There's a replacement, whatever. She already quit.
I would assume that if I was going into HR to report this lady who was sexually assaulting me and was a little crazy, and they told me she quit, that I was fucked because there's no way she's not suing.
Yeah, because I would assume she reported first.
Yeah, exactly. So like I was like, oh shit, she's like going after the company. And it's not that.
Nope, not that at all.
She's playing the long game because she wants to feel the Elba. She wants to go Elba Deep. I'm sorry. All I'm hearing is Elba when I'm saying it, and I can't stop. It's never not going to be funny to me.
Here's how I can help you with this, Todd. You can't keep thinking of it as elbow. You got to think of it for the actual clinical name for the elbow, which is weenus.
Oh my God, Paige.
That's definitely going to make it less sexual.
Disagree.
Anyway, she seems to be gone. He and Beyonce get home after celebrating New Year's and he's got an email. He goes to open it and it's just 1,000,000 of the craziest mall portraits of Allie Larder in a fedora.
Okay, Paige, if you had one photo of yourself to send to your crush like a bunch of times, don't make it a photo that looks like you're in a background singer / tambourine player of a children's acid jazz band. You look ridiculous. It looks like she's going to have a 1-episode arc as the love interest for Chandler in Friends.
Yeah.
It looks like that.
She's Hillary Duff's weird aunt.
Yes.
100%.
It's not even a sexy photo. It wasn't a photo that would possibly get him in trouble. It is a photo that just would be why did she send you that photo a bunch?
Why did she send this? Why was she the cool teacher for music on a Disney Channel show? Why? Why is she in a Gap ad for bootcut jeans?
Why is she the 50-year-old youth minister's 30-year-old wife?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is exactly. Why does she have big chunky highlights? Is she about to get into a big wheel at a bowling alley somewhere in the middle of the country? Jesus Christ, this photo.
I guess what we're trying to say is she never looked better, guys. She looked amazing.
It's the unsexiest photo. It looks like there was, roughly 5 to 6 years before this, Britney Spears on that album that has I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman. I don't remember which one it is, but that album, you know what I'm talking about. Did a bunch of promotional shots in basically this outfit. It's the non-denim version of what she wore to the VMAs that one year with Justin Timberlake.
That's fair. And also, she's I think attempting a sexy turn to the side, but if you just drop in the sound effect of, it looks like she's farting. She's exactly. I was this is not sexy. And it looks like you're waiting for your boyfriend to stop playing trumpet in his ska band.
She's also fully clothed.
Yeah, she's wearing a blazer and not a blazer, but a button-down shirt and a vest. She is overly clothed.
It's so crazy. Because here's the thing. In this movie, for this character, if it had been a nude photo, I would have been absolutely, that's what this character would send.
Exactly. Or just in a risque lingerie or something like that.
Yes, right.
This is not at all that. This is I'm waiting for my young Republican boyfriend to get out of the dinner he attended.
I'm at this coffee shop and I'm angry about the temperature of my iced tea.
Why is it got to be so iced?
I'm a background dancer for Shania Twain, and I will not be disrespected.
I mean, yeah, that's what she looks like.
Yeah.
Man, she looks like a dumbass.
Let's go, Todd. Anyway.
I would die if Shania said that to me.
The best thing about wearing a fedora is the prerogative to have a little fun.
What? Oh, sorry. Okay, we got to move on. But I loved it. That was great.
Be sending the emails. Anyway, he like closes them all out. She sent the same picture multiple times. I was like,
it popped up like 10 times and it's the same photo.
yeah, it's not even like different poses in the same outfit, which would be a very different unhinged experience, but hilarious.
Paige, I wanted it so badly just to be a sequence of 2 photos and it's just her tipping the hat. Like up, down, up, down, up, down. Would have loved it.
Wink, 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 wink.
Yeah.
But he deletes them all, and then we see him packing and going to a work conference, which must be drivable from where they live somehow.
It's gotta be. Like, I got the vibe, but it was like maybe 90 minutes away or something, because she drives to the hospital they take her to when she ODs in his bed. And by she, I mean Beyoncé.
But also, the detective is in the same jurisdiction as their home.
I mean, and they are in LA. That could be.
I did this literally a week and a half ago where I had to be in office for a few days. And so I was in a hotel to be in office for a few days.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I get it. But so they're at a work conference and somebody sends him a dirty martini from the bar. And he's like, I didn't order this. And he looks over and it's her. Now, the ensuing actions that happened suggest that he drank that dirty martini and she drugged it 100%.
She doesn't. We actually see her drug the drink she drugs, and it's not that dirty martini. I don't think.
Oh, it's not that one. Okay, I must have missed that.
No. I think it might be the dirty martini because he has a drink with him when he goes over to talk to her. And if that's the dirty martini, it is that.
Yeah.
It is that she drugs, but we see her drug it, so it wasn't drugged when it was brought to him.
Okay. I missed that part, but yeah. So he comes over. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Get the fuck out of here!" And she's like, "Well, you said you'd never jeopardize your job, so I quit so we could be together." And he's like, "That's not what I fucking said." And she's like, "Well, room 610, like."
And he's like, "I'm not gonna be there." Like he's very clearly like, this is not okay. I don't want to be a part of this. Please don't talk to me. Like he's out. He doesn't want this at all.
And she's like, "Oh, so I'll come to your room." And he's like, "No." And he does not tell her what room he's in.
No. Which leads me to believe someone at this hotel has to be fired for what happened.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean her attempting to kill herself in his room. I mean, she gets into his room multiple times.
She sexually assaults him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Because he is roofied. He makes it back to his room and she is there and he passes out.
Yeah.
And it is heavily implied in the movie that she then sexually assaults him.
Yeah.
It's not, which he doesn't tell anybody about, which kind of broke my heart. I'm like, bro, like press charges. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and
100%. I mean, even if she didn't sexually assault him, just drugged him and he actually made it back to his room and she didn't get into his room. Like that's still illegal. And it's worse than that because she's in the room waiting for him to sexually assault him.
Yes.
So there's like multiple crimes happening.
Multiple crimes.
Yeah.
But he wakes up late because he had a meeting and missed it. He goes to the meeting. He's like, "I'm so sorry I overslept." And they're pissed. And then someone's like, "Hey, your wife is here." And he's like, "What?" So he goes out and it's her because she's lying about being his wife at this resort.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Let's go get lunch. Let's blow it off." And he's like, "You're fucking nuts." Basically like, "No, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I've been working on this deal for forever. Like, get the fuck out."
And also, what do you think this is? And she goes, "The morning after."
Ugh.
And he's like, "What?"
Ugh.
Because all he remembers is getting back to his room. And he does remember, I mean, we see him saying no to her when he's drugged. We don't see how far that went. But I think this implies that she had sex with him. I mean, she
assaulted him.
Yes. I mean, I don't mean like with consent, but like.
No. Yeah, she assaulted him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, he's like, "Why don't you tell them? Well, like, I'll take you in there." And she's like, "Well, why don't I tell them what you did?" And spins it. And he's like, "No, oh my God, no." And he's like, "Well, I'm not doing this. Get the fuck out."
Yeah.
Bye. And he then goes back to the meeting. He goes back to his hotel room later and I'm like, "Bro, you should have had them change the fucking keys. You should have had them change the fucking keys.
Paige, I wouldn't have gone to the meeting.
Yeah.
And I realized he woke up late. I would not have gone to the meeting until I went to the front desk
Yes.
and cussed at someone because they enabled the person who was like already sexually assaulted me once to do it again that night. I would be in the office for a while and the conference can get fucked.
Yeah.
I have something to take care of and I'm sorry.
100%.
And honestly, like if that happened to you, your job would be like, we get it. We support you. I'm so sorry this happened. Like,
yes,
you need to address that.
100%.
And I realize you may not have the bandwidth to do that because of all you're dealing with, and that's fine. But that's what I would do. 100%.
Yes. So he goes back to the room. She is unconscious in the bed. She very well, because she did take all those pills. She is lucky that he found her in time because she could have died. But he immediately calls 911.
Yeah. I did wonder if this was like fake a little bit. But when she's at the hospital, they do have to pump her stomach.
They
and
pumped
stuff.
her
So
stomach.
like, she did take a bunch of something. I don't know if it was gonna eventually kill her if he didn't find her, but like she did. Because when he first grabs her and she's like, quote, dead, I was like, oh, she's just like faking for attention.
Sure.
But she's not, which I honestly was like, oh, wow, okay. But congrats on the commitment to the crazy.
I guess she could have taken something slightly less lethal. I mean, there's a bunch of different kinds of pills, but that's still a gamble.
Do you know how hard it is to OD on baby aspirin, Paige?
So hard.
I honestly don't know. Please don't try. But these Flintstones chewables, man.
Flintstones chewables.
When he grabbed her and pulled her over, you just saw like gummies stuck to her face of the chewable gummies.
She ate so much biotin. She had too many Bam Bams.
Paige, I would have lost my mind if like she's just covered in athletic greens powder. Like it's just like that. Like
Oh, God. Anyway, if you're thinking about it, don't do it.
Yeah.
We like having you around.
Yeah.
Call somebody.
Yeah.
Talk to somebody.
Absolutely. Life is better with you here.
Always.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Beyoncé hasn't heard from him and calls his coworker and is like, hey, man, I haven't heard from him. He's like, oh, my God, he didn't tell you he's at the fucking hospital. She gets to the hospital. She's like, what the hell? And he's like, there was a situation with Lisa. And she's like, the fucking temp. And then the detective comes up and is like asking questions. And Beyonce's like, what? I'm sorry, what?
Well, because the questions are like, how long have you been sexually active with Lisa?
Right.
Right? Because that's the story that she's getting from Lisa, the detective. I don't necessarily think that that's a wrong question for the detective to ask at this phase. And I do think in this scene, the detective is like, oh, you are fucking Lisa. I think that their perspective on that shifts quite a bit over the course of this movie. And I definitely understand why they believe her in this moment, right?
Yes, 100%.
So like, I'm not even really mad at her for feeling that way or asking these questions. But Idris Elba is always like, never. We've never had a romantic relationship. And he does sort of say what happened, but no one believes him, unfortunately.
Can we talk about the one thing that probably would have happened during this hospital visit that would have been a nail in Idris Elba's coffin that they don't do in this movie?
Paige, I wonder if we have the same note.
I wonder.
Because at the end of this scene, she hands Idris Elba, she being the detective, hands Idris Weenus a piece of paper, right? And that has his phone number on it.
Right.
And they react like it's a microphone drop, like, oh my God, dead to rights, you're busted.
Right.
But like, that isn't at all interesting to me. She was his assistant for a few days. She worked at his office. Like, that would be common knowledge around the office.
Right.
Million ways to get that phone number.
Right.
But they did have sex the night before.
This is exactly what I was thinking, Todd. Yes.
And I realized it wasn't consensual.
He was assaulted.
Yes.
Yeah, he was assaulted the night before.
I mean, like, functionally, there would be remnants of that.
Yes.
And so they could have done and I realize this is fucked up because he was the one that was sexually assaulted. They could have done a kit and like use that against him.
Yes. I thought for sure that the paper she was about to hand him were kit results.
Yes.
And was going to be like, actually.
Paige, I wanted it badly to be like, well, she's pregnant.
I thought that could have happened too, but like, or like later when she came back or whatever, a few months later that she was pregnant. But the only problem with that is they would not have had results fast enough.
You mean for pregnancy?
No. Yes, for pregnancy, but to test the source of seminal fluid from a kid.
Oh, yeah, because they got to do DNA analysis and all that, sure.
And they would have to compel a sample from him.
Yeah.
But here's what would have been kind of more interesting is if they had compelled a sample from him and he doesn't remember that night because he was drugged, then that's him realizing he's been assaulted. But the movie doesn't go into that at all.
Not at all.
But I fully had the same thought where I was like, in this instance, they probably would have done a kit of some sort. And that would have been the nail in his coffin.
And that would have been like a smoking gun, like, oh my God. And so it would have made sense that Beyonce's like, no, I'm out.
Right.
Like I need my space. You're out of the house. Get out. All that shit.
Right. Well, because they go home after this and she basically kicks him out. But this is where she says, tell me what you do. And she says, you better pack your toothbrush. And he's like, well, where am I supposed to go? And she was like, to hell. But until then, the four seasons. And I was like, oh, screenwriter high five. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But meanwhile at the hospital, the detective goes to talk to Lisa. And I honestly think that this is where the detective starts to maybe suspect that she doesn't have the whole story.
I think I know exactly what breaks the detective's belief in Lisa.
Tell me.
And I think it's the flowers, because that's an easy thing to track down.
Yeah. Well, and she confronts him about it, and he's like, yeah, she used to send flowers. When she was my assistant, she used to send flowers. This is fakeable.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just need more info. Like, I think at that point, the detective is like, I know something's wrong here, but I can't put my finger on it. Because in this scene, the version that Lisa is giving her is like, oh, we love each other and everything. And she's like, I just talked to that guy and
he does not love you. Like, he does not want to talk to you.
We are in very different pages.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and because she's like, well, when can I see Derek? And the detective's like, you cannot see Derek. Like, Derek does not want to see you. Yeah.
Right.
And then that's when she's like, well, why would he give me these flowers? And this is when I was like, if Ben is like sending flowers as Derek, like the mastermind of it all, like the reveal of that would have been like, oh, chef's kiss.
Wild.
It's like a Moriarty twist, but it's not like that. It's not. Ben's not that smart. He's just a dirtbag.
Yeah. But then she goes back to Idris Elba and is like, did you send the flowers? He's like, no. And she's like, well, what about this journal? And he's like, no, I've never been to her apartment. None of this is true. And he's like, what can I do?
Paige, the reveal of the journal, that is just their sexual exploits. Paige, would you read it? I would read
100%.
it. I would
cover
100%.
Cover to cover.
I would definitely read whatever fanfic Lisa is about to launch on Smut Book Productions. It's probably going to be called like Hostile Takeover. She was a temp, but she wanted a permanent position in his heart.
Oof, magoof.
Paige.
I know.
She's just a smut artist who like got too deep in the research process.
And here's the thing. I've been doing research on Flutter, and they have like a whole section of like corporate smut. And I was like, I might have to get some. Like, it'll be great. But yeah, like I'd read it. I'm envious of the detective that she probably got to read that shit cover to cover.
Oh yeah. She's like, I gotta check this evidence out. I'm definitely gonna have to bring this home to study it.
I'm reading the new step siblings Tessa Bailey one, and then I've got Perfect Strangers by JT Geisinger, and then just this bitch's journal.
Yeah, get yourself Hostile Takeover by Lisa Crazy Ass. Like, she is a great author. She was a temp, but she wanted a permanent position in his heart is the dumbest ad lib to any joke.
She wanted a permanent position, and that position, doggy. She wanted a permanent position, or all the positions. Bow, bow, bow. Anyway, at this point, he's like, I want to file a restraining order. And the detective's like, you don't really have to, because she moved away. Her sister came to pick her up. She's in San Francisco. And he's like, oh, great.
His next line should have been, I want to file a restraining order, though.
Yeah.
But I don't care if she went to go visit her sister. Like, she lives in town. I need a restraining order. Please do your job.
Please do it. Anyway, we get a montage of him, like, having visitation with the kid, trying to, like, see Beyonce. And he's finally like, it's my birthday. Are you going to make me spend my birthday alone? Like, I want to make this right. And she's like, okay, we'll go out for your birthday. So they go out, and this is where the song about putting freedom in my car was on. And they go to a really nice restaurant, And she's like, I got something for you, but we'll see. You can't open it yet. We'll see how the rest of dinner goes.
It's very clearly a key. Like, it's the only thing that would fit in that box.
Right. And he apologizes and a whole bunch of stuff. And it does happen to be a key.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lisa shows up at the fucking house and she's like, oh, I got a present for Kyle and the baby. And she tricks this poor teenage babysitter and pretends to call and is like this whole thing. And then she ultimately basically takes the baby and puts it in the car and makes it look like she's left. She hasn't. We will find out she stayed in that house afterwards.
The baby is a diversion.
Yes.
Crazy. And she kissed it on the forehead.
Ugh.
Guys, I hated it.
I hated it so much.
I also you fire that babysitter, right? Like, you never hire her again.
I mean, she's a young girl.
I know. I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
But you're never going to let her babysit again.
No, of course not.
I mean, and she was horribly manipulated by the psychopath, but
for her own safety, she shouldn't be there anymore, right?
Yeah, I don't know if Laurie Strode babysat again. Like, do they get into that in the later?
No, they do not.
I get it. I get why if you're like, oh no, I'm definitely never babysitting again after I got a baby stolen.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good.
Right. Anyway, so they come home because now he's welcome back home. They're definitely going to bang it out under their mirror. Good for them. But they're like, where's the fucking baby? And he gets in the car and the baby's in the back seat.
Yeah.
So they bring the baby in, they call 911 and they realize she never left the house. Like, they take the baby to the hospital. They come back later.
And that's when they realize.
That's when they realize she never left the house.
Yeah.
The primary bedroom, their bedroom, is trashed.
Yeah.
And Beyonce's ripped out of all the photos. And I was just like, ooh, fuck. So they call the detective. And the detective is like, okay, we got to beef up security. We got to all this stuff. And then the next morning, as they're having their alarm installed, we just get a cut of a phone call from Beyonce. And it's basically like, you listen to me. You know exactly who this is. You think you're crazy? I'll show you crazy. Try me, bitch. I was like, I would never try to fight Beyonce. Ever. I would absolutely kick Allie Larder downstairs. I feel like that bitch couldn't take me. I got a low center of gravity and I will end it. But Beyonce, I wouldn't try.
Paige, I would pay $1,000 to have, I don't know, Beyonce yell that shit as my outgoing voicemail message.
So much.
It's great.
Oh my God, that'd be such a good outgoing message.
It's like Beyonce,
try me, bitch.
Yeah. You want to talk to Todd? Try me, bitch.
You think you're crazy? I'll show you crazy. So they introduced the concept of the panic button. We won't use it.
Nope.
It never comes back.
In fact, they set up the alarm for it not to be a factor at all, which I thought was very funny.
So funny. We cut to the next day where they have taken the baby to a second location so it's safe. And then they are going to go to San Diego for a few days for her parents' anniversary. She's going to leave in the morning.
Yeah, it's their 30th anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to leave the next day. But they've set all this up. Meanwhile, she calls into work and calls Patrick the worst assistant ever, who's like, oh no, they're definitely going to San Diego. She's leaving at this time and he's leaving at this time, in cars with a license plate that's so much information.
There's no way Patrick isn't somewhat the reason this happens.
Right?
I don't think he intended for this to happen. He enabled it to happen, though.
Yes.
Patrick will sleep like a baby for the rest of his life, but this should keep him up at night.
Right? Well, and so Beyonce's getting ready and she arms the alarm, goes out, but she forgot her purse. She goes back in, disarms the alarm, gets her purse, comes back out. We don't see her arm the alarm again.
She doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't even arm it. Yeah.
Now, here's what I was thinking of. I kind of wanted Beyonce to have left it unarmed on purpose and then to circle back to trap Lisa there to be like, oh, I knew you were watching the house, bitch. And I'm not going to call the cops. That's too easy. That she was just going to end this bit.
I mean, that is essentially what happens. But instead of having pre-planned it, she waits until she hears a champagne cork fly out of the bottle. And she's like, wait.
I could hit the panic button, but instead I'm going to kick this bitch to death. And you're like, yes.
I think she was like, oh, is that a Pierre Peters sous vide special champagne I'm hearing popped? I definitely want to drink some of that. It's crazy to me that she doesn't run to the house and call the cops, I guess is my point. If I knew someone was in my house.
Or hit the panic button, which is right behind her while she's doing it.
Which the alarm company said, if you hit that button, police are at your door.
Right.
It's positioned they're right here, which I kind of get. Because they're in a rich neighborhood. They are affluent people because he makes a lot of money.
It's displayed. They either live in the Palisades or Beverly Hills is what it looks like.
It's a nice area.
It's a nice area.
But she doesn't. She just sneaks upstairs and she's like, if Idris Weenus won't take care of this. I'm going to kill this bitch.
I'm going to take care of it myself.
Yeah.
But she called him to be like, oh, I forgot to arm the alarm. I'm headed back. And she's like, I'll call you back. She leaves her phone in the car. Her phone is a Palm Centro.
It is. Yeah.
I had this exact phone
so did I.
at this time.
Yeah.
Pre-smartphone era. Oh, God. How they have changed. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Technology, man.
So he tries to call her back. He ends up calling the house and Lisa answers and he's like, I'm going to call you back, Sharon. Click. And then immediately calls the cops.
Oh, yeah.
But he calls the detective instead of just calling 911. Either way, the cops are on their way.
They are.
But I love that at one point, Beyonce is now dragging her through the hallway and is like, come here, bitch, with your skinny ass. I was like, yeah, bitch, get her.
And Beyonce would realistically, I think, win this fight because she's like,
Oh, hundo.
she is muscular. And
She's strong as fuck, man.
Yeah.
She works out.
yeah, Lisa is just like a skinny white lady,
Dude, Beyonce dances for 3.5 hours straight while singing live.
right?
She could beat up Tom Brady. Like, I would take Beyonce in a fight against most people.
Okay, hot take. Tom Brady does not look like he could fight. So, like,
He looks very frail these days.
he does. Yeah.
He is tall, but yeah.
He's probably got a long reach. I'm not going to box him. I'm just saying, like, baby Kyle could probably take him.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Celebrity roulette. I feel like Beyonce could take most celebrities, like hand-to-hand combat. Like, maybe not The Rock, right? Or like Dave Bautista or something, but like Paul Rudd. Beyonce could rip his head off, I think.
Did you position Paul Rudd like he'd be a difficult thing?
No, I'm just
for Beyonce to just like run through at full speed?
I think Beyonce could just Marshawn Lynch through Paul Rudd and toss his corpse aside like a rag doll.
Yeah.
You know?
And he'd still look great.
He'd still look great. Even somebody who's like on the bigger side, like a Jason Segel, I feel like Beyonce is wily and she could get the better of him and get the high ground and choke him out somehow.
Honestly, he's probably into that. Like Beyonce choking you out, there's worse ways to go.
I feel like there's a lot of people who would be into Beyonce choking them out.
I would not be, for the record. But I do love that they are like fighting around the house. And you do think like, oh my God, she's going to throw her off this second story and she's going to land on that coffee table that we saw being set up during the move-in montage.
Right,
like
right,
the
right.
Chekhov's coffee table that I sort of mentioned earlier, right?
And the Chekhov's board in the attic.
Right. But she doesn't, right? Because
No.
she gets away and then Beyonce then continues looking for her through. I would just like leave and call the cops.
Right.
Like it's not like her baby's in the house. Like she, I think, is trying to kill her.
A vengeance.
Yes.
And she makes it up to the attic where they still fight through the attic, but Beyonce knows that there's that one weak spot. And so she like climbs out onto the bigger pieces of wood that hold your ceiling up.
Yeah.
Not the eaves,
The Adams.
the atoms, whatever. She walks out and she's like, yeah, come closer.
She's literally like, oh, you almost got me. Ha, you almost got me with that one. And she is like American gladiators in heels, though, like on these boards like that are pretty thin.
Yeah.
As she's like scooting back and Lisa's swinging that, I don't know, it's sort of like a 2x4 looking thing at her.
Right.
And then she falls into like the gap between those things that Beyonce is like precariously walking on.
Right.
And falls through the ceiling of like, it's like 3 stories up above. Joists. So yeah, she's like,
Beyonce's on the joists.
yeah. Beyonce's on the joist. And honestly, at this point, Lisa's hanging on to one joist.
Right.
And she like tries to American Ninja Warrior herself over to the other one. And she starts to slip and Beyonce like goes to like offer her hand to help her.
Right.
And I really wanted her, instead of saying, take my hand, to just be like, bombs away, bitch, and then kick her in the face. Because like Lisa like grabs her and tries to pull her down with her.
Well, yeah, because Beyonce is like, I'm not a killer. I'll try to help this crazy bitch. And then she tries to pull Beyonce through and she was like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, lets her go. And she falls, crashes through that coffee table, and you're like, how is this bitch still alive? But then Chekhov's chandelier comes crashing down on top of her. And Beyonce walks out the front door as the cops come and they're like, oh my God, what happened? She's like, I think you know what happened. And then just like sits down.
Yeah.
And she like hugs Idris Elba. And that's the movie.
So having seen the movie and having talked about the movie, Paige, what did you think about Obsessed?
I mean, it's not good, but was it fun to watch? Yes.
I honestly, it was fun to watch. I did not hate my time with it. I don't think I'd watch it again. And if you're like, this movie's trash, I hate it. You're right. This movie is trash and I didn't hate it. It was great on some level.
Yeah.
And I was honestly like, I don't think she's the best actress in the world, but I was a little impressed with how well Beyoncé did in this movie.
Yeah, she did great.
Yeah. Idris Weenus is always great. But I didn't hate it. You guys should check it out if you haven't seen it. But Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Yes.
Well, hit us with your fun facts.
Obsessed fun facts. There was originally an additional sex scene between Idris Elba's character and Beyonce's character that was in the original script but never filmed. I don't know why. I don't have information as to why, but I suspect that it was A, either to get a lower rating, or B, because Beyonce did not want to appear nude on screen, which fully understand given her career.
Sure.
So it's probably one of those reasons.
Yeah.
Technically, there is a disorder known as erotomania, which is what a lot of people think that Lisa suffers from. I would say paranoid delusions, maybe, or obsessive delusions is kind of more in line.
Yeah.
Originally, LL Cool J was in talks to play Idris Elba's part. That would have been great as well, I think, honestly.
I think so too, yeah.
Yeah. Now, according to the first draft of the script, the scene where Lisa seduces him in the car was supposed to be more sexually revealing. I think she was supposed to be naked. And which to me lends more to the idea of like they were going for a lower rating or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's still like gets the point across because he's not into it. He doesn't want it. So like, it's not like it would be sexy even if she was naked, you know?
Right.
It would be like shocking. Like, get out. What the fuck? What is happening?
Oh no. Yeah. Now this is not Beyonce's first movie. This is her third or fourth movie, but it is the first movie where she does not sing, even though she has a song featured in the movie credits. Prior to this, she had been in Austin Powers as Foxy Cleopatra, and then also Dreamgirls was kind of around the same time. The backless red dress that the character Lisa wears to the hotel was sewn from scratch.
They linger on it too, like they're real proud of that dress.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's Allie Larder helped design it.
Oh, really?
She picked from different dresses that were considered for that sequence, and they kind of sewed it all together.
Interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. The rest of the dresses in the film were store-bought. Beyonce had never done fight choreography before, but because she is a trained dancer, she picked it up very, very fast.
That does not surprise me at all because like all those fights are choreographed.
And she does the entire fight in heels.
Yeah, she does.
Heels.
That's why I was like, she's like American Gladiators in heels.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Now, Beyonce was also not their first choice. Zoe Saldana was the first choice.
I mean, she'd have been great. She's great.
She would have been great.
But I like Beyonce in this. Beyonce's great.
Yes. The boots that she wore in the fight sequence were sold at an auction in 2013. The total bid and buyer premium was a total of $1,172. I believe it largely went to charity. Now, according to the director, the interracial aspects of the film were planned in the original script to be a little bit more of a factor in the movie, but that was ultimately scrapped, in part because of similarities to the same screenwriter, David Lawry. I think it's Lawry is how you pronounce it. He had a previous film called Lakeview Terrace that also dealt with some interracial aspects to the relationship in the movie, and they didn't want it to be too similar.
Yeah, that was Lakeview Terrace was just the year before this.
Yeah, but that was a main complaint in a lot of reviews of the film, is that they didn't explore that at all within this movie. Beyonce's character was originally called Beth, as a nod to the name of the wife in the original Fatal Attraction from 1987, which we haven't done on this show, but we should at some point.
Yeah.
This is very similar to Fatal Attraction, but also Swim Fan and Play Misty for Me. The film was shipped to theaters under the code name Logical Consequences.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll end on this one because it's kind of funny. So a decade after this movie, Idris Elba and Beyonce would ultimately work together in Disney's remake of The Jungle Book, as well as The Lion King.
Awesome.
So Idris Elba voices Shere Khan in The Jungle Book. Beyonce voices the lioness Nala. That's not even the only time Idris Elba has played a cat. He also plays McCavity in the musical Cats. And those are your fun facts.
Not going to watch that last one. Paige, thank you for those fun facts, though. And let's talk a little bit about box office. What do you think the production budget was for Obsessed in 2009?
2009, I think this probably cost about $25 million.
Ooh, very close. It was $20 million, which, if you adjust for inflation, is roughly 29.6 now. Now, the movie premiered on April 24th of 2009, and it was number 1 the weekend it came out. It beat the number 2 movie, 17 Again.
Oh, 17 Again. We haven't done 17 Again.
Yeah, that's like a Zac Efron.
Yes.
Matthew Perry. Yeah. But it's a romantic movie, right? We could make that work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. We should do that. Anyway, number 3 was Fighting. Number 4 was The Soloist. And number 5 was Earth. It was interesting. The top 5, except for 17 Again, all of them, it was their first week out. 17 Again was second, and it was its second week. Anyway, what do you think Obsessed brought in its opening weekend?
I remember people thinking this was bad almost immediately. So I'm going to say opening weekend, it made $4 million.
Oh, Paige, it was number 1 in the theaters. It made $28.6 million.
Oh, good for them.
So if people were saying it was bad, they brought in enough money in its opening weekend before the word got out.
Yeah.
But it was in theaters for 8 weeks total. It was in the top 5 for its first month. For its first 4 weeks in theaters, it was in the top 5. But was only in theaters for 8 weeks total. What do you think it brought in domestically at the box office, though?
Ooh, domestically, let's see. If it brought in $28 million in that first week, that means it probably tops out around $75 million domestically.
You are close. It was $68.2 million. But Paige, you're even closer if you factor in the international box office, because it made an additional 5.7 internationally, which would bring it up to 73.9, almost $74 million. Which is really good on a $20 million budget. Get this, it also made $23.7 million in domestic DVD and Blu-ray sales. So it did fine. They made plenty of money on this, whether people thought it was bad or not. But that's your box office. So Paige, do you want to hit us with that scary and or romance scale?
So hey, our scary and or romance scale is a scale of 1 to 4 because we're scared of anything higher than 4. Todd?
I'm going to give it a 1. There's nothing really romantic in this movie.
I will give it a 1 as well, although I will say it's very romantic how Beyoncé killed that woman for her husband.
I agree. Like, that is the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah, Paige.
Yes. And that's your romance scale.
So this week, Paige, you made us watch Obsessed, and we are. But what are you going to make us watch next week?
So next week is one that has actually been requested a number of times, and we have not done a Tyler Perry movie in a while, Todd.
A Tyler Perry musical movie, Paige?
That's what's up.
What?
That's what's fucking up. Now, I believe this was originally based on one of his plays, which explains why there's music. But I'll do a little more digging before we go through it. But the movie is I Can Do Bad All By Myself.
All right. I guess we'll watch that for next week and then report back for that episode. What's it called again? I Can Do It All By Myself?
I Can Do Bad All By Myself. From the same year that this came out, starring Taraji P. Henson.
All right. I cannot wait.
Hey, do we have any reviews, Todd?
We do. I'm going to read a Spotify comment off of one of our most recent episodes. That episode being the Save the Last Dance episode. Oh, and as I'm looking through these, a lot of people have mentioned the Flutter bookstore in the comments here.
Yay!
There was a question about, because you said it was Valentine's Day weekend, but you said March 14th.
So Valentine's Day weekend is when they open. March 14th is when I will be there.
Right. And I wanted to clarify that. But I'll read Janelle's comment. And they said, so glad y'all did this movie. Definitely a staple of growing up. Fun fact, I took many dance classes with Julia Stiles' dance double, and then they say their dance double's name. I don't know if that's like out there, so maybe I won't read it. But watch the final audition scene again, and you'll notice the moment when Sarah's hair goes from blonde to brunette.
Yes.
Great episode. So, Janelle, thank you so much for that Easter egg tip and for listening to the podcast and leaving us a comment. If you want to have me read your comment and or 5-star Apple review, do one of those things and I'll do just that. So yeah, if you guys like this show and want to hear our other show where we talk about horror movies, that is The Horror Virgin. That's the only other podcast I am on, but Paige is also on Cult Podcast, which you can find at Cult Podcast. And you can find us on social media. I am at Todd J. Awesome, literally everywhere. Paige is at Paige Wesley on Instagram.
No, it's at Rampage Wesley on Instagram and TikTok, at Paige Wesley on Twitter.
That's right. All right. So that's where you can find Paige. If you want to find the show, we are at Romancing the Pod Show, right?
Yep, Romancing Pod Show on Twitter.
Well, and Instagram, right?
And Instagram, but it's show SHO because character limits. If you start typing Romancing the Pod, it'll come up.
It'll definitely come up on Instagram. I don't know about Twitter because I haven't posted on Twitter in a hot ass minute. So like, who knows? But that is where you can find more of us. So yeah, guys, give us a follow. Support the show any way you can. We'd love it.
Smash that like button.
Hell yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
Obsessed pletion. I'm going to bust all of these buttons on this trench coat. Bye.
Pop.
Lisa was a sex pest nerd.
La 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 la.